It's Tuesday, September 20th, and this is now on HNN.
3 adults will face firearms offenses in the shooting death of a minor at a Big Island Boy Scouts camp.
Are we going to be looking at alternative methods to start the defueling process now?
Dozens affected by the Red Hill contamination crisis march in D.C. demanding clean water.
I think the travel surge is here to stay for quite some time.
Travel boomed over the summer, and that demand led to problems. I'm Wendy Gillette in Las Vegas. I'll tell you what you can expect this fall and into the holidays.
These stories, plus a look at the next generation of British royals. Details coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon. Thanks for watching. This is Now. You got Jonathan and Ashley right here in the HNN Digital Center. We got to get started with some breaking news.
That's right. The city prosecutor says a Honolulu police officer was justified in a 2019 fatal shooting.
Was the use of deadly force justified? Yes.
City Prosecutor Steve Alm added that no charges will be filed against the officer in this case. It dates back to 2019 when a 27-year-old man was shot at the Campbell Industrial Park. Officials say Dana Brown was killed after he lunged at an officer with a hunting knife.
Officer 1 was trying to arrest Mr. Brown for reckless driving. He made numerous commands to get Mr. Brown to drop the knife. He used his taser to try to incapacitate Mr. Brown twice and never had success with it. And he got close enough that, he was putting himself in danger in this, but he was patient and he kept trying to get Mr. Brown to put the knife down and to get down on the ground.
At a news conference that wrapped up just minutes ago, Alm showed this police body camera footage that shows Brown repeatedly ignoring the officer's commands to drop the weapon.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground! I'm gonna shoot you! Get on the ground! Let me see your hands!
Alm also said witness testimony matches the officer's account of what happened. Look for more on this story coming up on later editions of HNN.
New at noon, Hawaii Island police have concluded that the shooting death of a 12-year-old boy at a Boy Scouts camp was accidental. Authorities said the incident happened on August 28th at Camp Honokaia Boy Scout Camp near Honoka'a. Officials said an unsupervised boy picked up a loaded firearm, and as he placed it back down, it discharged, subsequently shooting the victim. An autopsy concluded the victim died as a result of a single gunshot wound. Through the investigation, police have deferred numerous firearm-related offenses to county prosecutors for review. Detectives said they have initiated 23 firearm-related offenses, one of which is a criminally negligent storage of a firearm. Police said the offenses are against 3 men who were at the scene of the incident and have been identified as the registered owners of multiple firearms. In total, authorities said 18 firearms and various ammunition were recovered. Protests in Washington, D.C. today involving those who got sick from the Red Hill fuel spill. Our Mahealani Richardson spoke to an activist about why they're doing this, and she filed this report from our nation's capital.
As you can see, people have gathered. They have props. They have their hazmat suits that have been gathering. Now here who are joining part of this protest are families from Red Hill. They are gathering from all over the country and also the Oahu water protectors. Some of the people who are gathered here today are Chris Anton and her son, M.K. Carlson. Thank you so much for joining us. Now you guys were in Kapilina. Tell us what happened during the spills last year.
Well, we were living there. We were part of the announcement to tell us we were in any bad water. So we didn't even know we were Navy water line. So it took a while to even find out if we were even part of that. So we found out by taking a shower and getting jet fuel on us. And that was December 3rd. And then I shut down the water. And eventually the next week later, my kids got sick and we had to go to ER. And my son ended up in a... Sorry. Sorry, it's just...
Okay, I know it's very emotional for a lot of people.
The moment is, I forget how it feels, but I remember the feeling how scary it is when your kid can't walk and you don't know what's wrong. And then we rushed to ER December 10 and found out we have petroleum poisoning, and we still pushed to get water. And at that time, they weren't providing our neighborhood any bottled water or any services, and we weren't allowed to get anything, being civilians. And eventually, by December 17th, 18th, we finally got a water truck from the Navy. But by then, we needed more help than that.
And MK, there was a period where you were not able to walk, but you're standing, and you're going to be walking in this protest today. What does it mean for you to be here, and what is your message?
So for me, it's really hard because it means a lot for me to be able to walk with these people and be here right now at DC. And I really just want to get the message out that, we're not alone. There's more of us. We're all affected, and we need help, and we are getting it. And I feel like that's really just what I want to be telling people and getting my message out, that this does happen. It did happen. It's happening to people. They're stuck there. I was, in a way, a lucky case. I got out, and I'm walking now, And yeah, it's pretty emotional for me too, to be able to do this, and it's very relieving in a way that I know that we're here as a community, that I have people here that are going to protest with me and walk through this with me,
And so you don't live in Kapilina anymore. Where do you live now?
Iowa.
You live in Iowa. Okay, so you got away from the situation. But we know that a lot of people have gathered in this spot to have their voices heard. MK and Chris, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much. Again, so many people have gathered from across the country, from Hawaii to California, Florida. They've all gathered to send their message to the EPA to do something about cleaning water and demanding safe conditions. Now, on this day, this is one day after the military had announced a new commander for a joint task force for the defueling of Red Hill. That deadline now has been pushed to July 2024. And the entire Hawaii congressional team has sent messages that they support this new joint task force. Reporting from D.C., I'm Kalani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
President Biden will address the UN General Assembly tomorrow morning in New York. Let's bring in Hawaii News Now's White House correspondent John Decker, who's in the Big Apple covering the trip. Now, John, what will be the focus of the president's address?
The primary focus of the president's address, Ashley, will be the war in Ukraine. This is the first time that the UN General Assembly is meeting since that war began back on February the 24th. President Biden very much concerned about keeping that coalition united against Russia together, that coalition that is also supporting Ukraine and its military. So that will be a big message that he will deliver tomorrow morning, 10:30 Eastern time. Another focus for the president will be the issue of climate change. After all, President Biden just signed the Inflation Reduction Act. So much contained in that bill had to do with issues related to climate, and the president will tell his counterparts here in New York for the General Assembly, the UN General Assembly, to follow the U.S.'s lead on the issues of climate.
Going back to Ukraine, John, do we expect the president to have a message for Vladimir Putin or, say, Chinese President Xi?
Oh, absolutely. For President Putin, I think the message will be delivered to President Putin, not only by President Biden, but also other leaders who are in New York for the General Assembly, and that is this type of aggression that has been carried out by Russia cannot stand. You have to respect the sovereign integrity of your neighbors. That will be certainly a message for President Putin, and also the message that the U.S. will continue its support for Ukraine for however long it takes. If President Putin is thinking that the U.S. will tire of this effort, that we will stop funding this war effort, the president will deliver the message to President Putin during his speech that this will continue for the foreseeable future.
And President Biden is also expected to meet with the new British Prime Minister Liz Truss. What does he hope to accomplish there?
Well, this is a very important relationship. We call it the special relationship that exists between the U.S. and the U.K. It's their first meeting. Of course, the Prime Minister just took on those duties a little over 2 weeks ago, just before Queen Elizabeth II passed away. And there are so many issues that need to be discussed between the U.S. and the U.K. Certainly, the issue related to Ukraine. The economy is also a major issue. Not only is inflation a major issue for the United States, it's an issue for the UK, for Europe. So a unified effort in terms of dealing with that will also be discussed. And lastly, the issue of trade and certainly dealing with the pandemic. Now, the president the other day said the pandemic is over, but he also said we are still dealing with COVID. And I think that will also be one of those issues that will be addressed during that bilateral meeting.
All right, Hawaii News Now's White House correspondent John Decker reporting from New York. Appreciate the time, John.
Time for Unraveling Your Traveling. And as we talked about all summer long here in this segment, travel demand for the summer was sky high. So what is it looking like for fall and winter? Here's Wendy Gillette with more on that.
All summer long, this was a familiar travel tale.
Our flight was canceled.
A combination of increased demand, staffing shortages, and severe weather led to more than 50,000 flight cancellations in the U.S. and around 500,000 delays between Memorial Day and Labor Day, according to FlightAware. Almost 1 in 4 U.S. flights were late. The CEO of the luxury travel network Virtuoso expects more of the same as airlines work to staff up to meet demand.
I think the travel surge is here to stay for quite some time because nothing motivates people like having something taken away they took for granted.
His advice, plan earlier, especially at busy times of the year.
When should you start your holiday planning? Last year. No, I mean, I'm only being half funny about this because people are booking things a year, 6 months in advance.
America's most visited cities are benefiting from the boom.
Here in Las Vegas, tourism is rebounding, but has still not reached pre-pandemic levels.
Domestic tourists, it's back to those levels already. Groups right now are at about 90% of the pre-pandemic levels, and international tourists are maybe at 90%.
Overseas, the general manager of the Sofitel Rome Villa Borghese, where we stayed at a reduced rate, says occupancy spiked as high as 80% this summer. He saw guests book stays with little advance notice, jumping on whatever was available, no matter the price.
The craziness of summer 2022 will probably disappear, and we will go back to a normal, traditional lead time, which means 2 to 3 months.
One trend that is expected to persist, longer trips, as more tourists pair remote work with travel. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
Dreaming of my next vacation myself.
Wendy Gillette, always on assignment somewhere fun.
Yeah, she is. All right, but we're living somewhere fun. Look outside right now. That's gorgeous. Look at those waves rolling in. I believe that is Sand Island we're looking at there on Oahu South Shore in this live video feed coming into the H&N Digital Center. Let's see what our weather is shaping up to be like for the rest of this work week. And I got to tell you, looks like a hot one.
Oh, no.
More humid conditions will take over by tomorrow. We're not going to see a lot of rain, although there's a little disturbance set for Thursday. Also Thursday, that's when fall starts, in the afternoon. So the first full day of fall is on Friday, and that light wind weather pattern will continue and will start the fall season. And that means it's going to be humid starting tomorrow. We'll get spotty afternoon showers into the early evening, clearing in the overnight hours, with overnight temperatures going to be nice and cool. Lighter winds allow the ground to release the heat, so it might drop into the lower 70s. But that's a long stretch of pretty hot, sticky weather, but still very beautiful and basically calm.
The surfing world is heartbroken after the death of Kalani David. The local surfer and skater passed away after having a seizure while surfing in Costa Rica this weekend. He was 24 years old. He reportedly underwent surgery for a heart condition back in 2017. On an Instagram post a couple months ago, he had said his doctor told him not to surf because he had been having seizures. Meanwhile, loved ones are warning the public not to fall for fake GoFundMe pages asking for money to bring his body back to the state.
There were many touching moments during the state funeral honoring Queen Elizabeth II. Some of the most enduring images, Prince George and Princess Charlotte joining their family to pay tribute to their great-grandmother. Molly Hunter has more on the youngest royals, now in the spotlight more than ever.
Walking behind the Queen's coffin, 3 generations of royals saying their final farewell. King Charles, the newly named Prince and Princess of Wales, and seen publicly for the first time since the Queen's death, 9-year-old Prince George and 7-year-old Princess Charlotte. The second and third in line to the throne, the young prince and princess looked and acted the part throughout the day's ceremonies, solemnly entering Westminster Abbey by their parents' side and singing along to hymns and songs during the service, and following her lead when it came to royal protocol. Princess Charlotte even stepping in when her big brother missed a cue, instructing the future king to bow. At times looking overwhelmed by the pomp and circumstance, the children could be seen looking out of a car driving behind the procession. Prince William and Princess Kate's oldest children were the only of the Queen's 12 great-grandchildren to attend the funeral service, and 3 of her great-granddaughters later joined the family for the committal service that followed. The royal brother and sister handled all the public attention with grace, looking like little versions of their parents. Prince George wearing a navy suit, while Princess Charlotte wearing a black coat and smart shoes and a hat, just like her mother. The little princess even paid tribute to the late Queen with a special accessory, a diamond horseshoe brooch she wore on her coat, a gift from Queen Elizabeth, and a nod to her late great-grandmother's love of horses. Missing from the Wales family, the youngest, Prince Louis, the 4-year-old, likely left at home because of his age, though he's been known to steal the spotlight at public events. Duke and Duchess of Sussex's young children, 3-year-old Archie and 1-year-old Lily, were also absent from the funeral. But now these youngest members of the royal family are the Queen's living legacy.
All right, there's your royal update of the day. Let's
Prince
see.
George is splitting image
Right?
of Prince William. It's crazy.
All right, let's see what else the internet is talking about. And this is just bizarre, my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's this really strange warning from the FDA because of this bizarre viral challenge. So basically, do not cook chicken with NyQuil. Yep, sounds pretty obvious, right? But some people are doing it on social media for a challenge, encouraging people to cook their poultry in the medicine. The FDA says holding or boiling NyQuil can change its properties, making it very dangerous if concentrated. So when it gets concentrated. So just breathing it can be damaging to the lungs, we're told. This isn't the first dangerous challenge involving over-the-counter medicines. Officials say teens have even passed away because of a Benadryl challenge, which includes taking a lot of the medication to have hallucinations. The reason behind the challenge is still unclear. And what?
No.
That's all I gotta say.
Well, NyQuil 1 doesn't even taste good.
Terrible.
And yeah, I mean, I guess they have to put out these warnings because people are doing them.
Yeah,
So
gotta do it, but come on, folks, don't do that.
yeah, be smarter. Okay, so a Palestinian farmer, this is really cool. He found an ornate floor mosaic dating back to the Byzantine era while planting an olive tree. Now, the mosaic in the Gaza Strip, less than a kilometer from the often tense border with Israel, is reportedly in a perfect state of conservation. Now, the farmer said he was digging in the ground when he discovered the remains with inscriptions depicting colorful animals and birds, and specialists said that the mosaic is one of the most important archaeological treasures discovered in the Gaza Strip.
That is just incredible.
I know. What a find. Well, tomorrow on Today, an exclusive interview with tennis superstar Roger Federer after his final competitive tournament in London. Savannah Guthrie got the chance to sit down with him.
You know, unretiring is a thing now.
I know.
Tom Brady, now
No.
Serena seems to be wavering a little. You're done.
No, I am definitely done. I know that, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That exclusive interview tomorrow, only on Today.
Unretiring, just retiring.
Seriously, Tom Brady. Make up your mind.
Bring me there. All right, so let's get to some really good news now. There was this surfer who had a really close and cute encounter with a sea otter. Our good friend Jeannie Mose has more on that.
Nick Erickson is usually the one riding his surfboard, but when he left it empty for a moment after catching a wave off Santa Cruz, a sea otter figured it oughta be the one riding it.
It climbed on and made itself at home.
Nick's friends on shore couldn't believe it.
No way.
Nick's tactics range from the puny, trying to splash the sea otter, to the brave, attempting to tow it toward shore. But every time he touched the board, the sea otter, possibly a pregnant sea otter, would lunge at him.
Were you actually scared?
A little bit, yeah. It's like a pit bull puppy in a sense. Like it looks cute, but you know how dangerous it can be.
That's Nick's good friend, Chad, next to him. He was the one shooting the video.
None of you guys went out to help him.
He should have just swam in. I didn't want to leave the board, though.
When Nick got too close, the sea otter would dive in after him. Nick was teased about why the sea otter was so riled up at him.
You're being accused of being the one who got the otter pregnant.
Yeah, that's my friends being friends, I guess.
Finally, another surfer came to the rescue, managing to shove the board away from the otter. The otter then chased the rescuer, then changed its mind and started chasing Nick.
I kept looking over my shoulder, and it was like a scary movie.
You can imagine which one. But Nick was unscathed.
Was the board damaged?
Yeah, it took out a couple of chunks.
It did that too with its teeth.
Nick may keep it unrepaired as a memento of the standoff. He might even get that sea otter tattoo he once considered.
I've always had a fixation with sea otters.
And this sea otter had a fixation with your board. Jeannie Mose, CNN, New York.
Just more news, you otter now?
Gosh,
maybe?
John.
Sorry.
They're cute, but they can be vicious.
Yeah, it looks like it. Did you see those teeth marks? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, don't mess with them. Just like monk seals, guys.
All right, more good news to get to, my friends, on this Aloha Tuesday. And this one coming to us from Los Angeles. You know, this iconic spot here is about to get a makeover. 100 years of the Hollywood sign. It's celebrating its anniversary and will be celebrated in 2023. So crews are putting the final preparations to do a paint job on it. You know, it originally said Hollywoodland to promote a real estate development in the area.
I did
and
not
then
know
later
that.
down the road, they shortened it to just good old Hollywood. Well, if you didn't notice, Ashley's wearing a gorgeous lei today because it is your birthday. And I think we got some other news to share, right?
We sure do. So this next year is going to be quite the wild one, and we'll show you why. Ready? Yep.
1, 2, 3, swing.
Yep, that's right. Baby boy coming in hot in December. Thank you, John, for buying those golf balls.
That was stressful. That put the pressure on. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so no, I'm really excited. Definitely going to be a life changer, but I'm so happy we have like so many, awesome parents here in the newsroom to give me advice and to cry with.
A new co-host coming to the H&N Digital Center. I cannot wait. And I cannot tell you, and you know this, like you had me call your doctor
Yes.
to get those golf
Yes.
balls ordered. And then I was like, wait, I was so excited about the news. I'm like, did I get it right? Did I actually order the right color? So I had to call back, which was super embarrassing. So
That's so funny, John.
thank you to your doc for their kind patience with me. And you'd think I would get my facts right, but I was so excited for you guys, and it's an awesome event that I've been watching unfold slowly, and I'm
Yep.
thanking you for sharing it with us and all the viewers out there too.
Yep, not just plate lunches in this belly anymore, guys.
Well, guys, that's gonna do it for This Is Now. Join Ashley and baby to be coming up at First at 4 on KHNL. That's coming your way in just about 3.5 hours. Have a good one. Congrats.
Aloha. Thanks.